who just shows up at your doorstep with total strangers and acts like your house is on the market? I opened my front door expecting maybe a package or the neighbor's kid selling cookies. Instead, I was met by a realtor, grinning like he'd already cashed his commission check, pointing into my living room as if it were part of his weekend showcase. Behind him, a giant "Open House Today" sign staked right in my yard, my address bold as day. Apparently, the HOA thought they could dictate when my home was available for viewing. No heads up, no paperwork, just brazen lies and forged documents. And since that morning, I can't shake the feeling that eyes are lingering on my property far too often. Be honest, what would you have done if someone tried this stunt at your place? That Saturday started out like any other at my lakefront cabin. My coffee was steaming on the workbench while I sanded a fresh slab of oak for Mrs. Peterson's kitchen sign. The shop smelled like sawdust and stain, my idea of peace. I'm Daniel Harding, 34 years old, and I've been carving wooden signs for almost a decade now, ever since I ditched the city for some quiet. Then came the knock at the door. I figured it was Susan from next door or maybe a delivery. But when I swung the door open, there stood a man in a wrinkled suit clutching a clipboard. He didn't even look at me. He peered straight past my shoulder into my cabin like he was leading some official tour. The guy started pointing things out, my fireplace, the wood beams, as if I wasn't even standing there. And sure enough, behind him was a small crowd of strangers stepping onto my deck, cupping their hands against my windows like they were browsing in a store. For a second, I thought maybe it was a prank. But then my eyes landed on that massive real estate sign planted square in my yard. Bright red letters screaming Lakeside HOA. Open House Today. I had to blink twice just to believe what I was seeing. The man with the clipboard introduced himself as Blake and said, in the most casual tone, "Your HOA president, Margot Hayes, told us this property was ready for immediate showing, like it was the most normal thing in the world." And then, right on cue, Margot herself came striding up my driveway like she owned the land. 53 years old, silver bun pulled tighter than her smile, sharp business suit that screamed entitlement. Margot always carried herself like every square foot of this neighborhood was her personal empire. She started chatting up the strangers, waving her hand toward my cabin and calling it a community improvement opportunity. The fake cheer in her voice was worse than nails on a chalkboard. Finally, I snapped and demanded to know what the hell was happening. She looked me dead in the eye, smiled with that smug little tilt of her chin, and calmly explained that the HOA had authorized the showing for the greater good of the neighborhood.